Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be back here with you again. And our next panel, we're going to look at the future of gaming. Do we have lots of gamers in the audience? Oh, wow. This is going to be a rowdy crowd. I like this. I see a few of you already getting ready to go here. But I do need your full attention. Because before we start our panel, we brought you just a fabulous guest that you're going to be very excited to meet. He's got a great video to show you, and he's going to be part of the panel. So I'm very, very excited, and indeed we're very, very honored to have him here. So it is that time of afternoon. I need your big energy up here because I need a huge ITRA Sync warm welcome for the President of Saudi Esports Federation in Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Bandar Al Saud. See, this is you. Here's your fans.
Thank you very much.
Take the middle. Okay, you're welcome.
So, thank you for attending this panel on the power of gaming. We have a great group of speakers, and I am truly humbled and honored to be among them. Gaming has really been a part of our lives well before the digital age. And since the beginning of time, we learned to make friends, to survive, and to thrive through gaming. Today, in this digital age, we ask ourselves, is gaming harmful or are games good for us? And this will be discussed at length in this panel, though sometimes it does feel that the negative effects are much more prevalent in the world than the benefits. So before we start, I'd like to show you just a small sample of what can happen when gamers come together for a cause, and with great partners, what that can inspire and what the power of gaming can be used, when the power of gaming is used for good.
I've got a difficult mission for you. Who's in? Close to 1 billion people from 92 of the world's poorest countries need to be vaccinated. You'll need to work closely with governments and health authorities, and it will take millions of volunteers. And it has to be cheap. This is a mission only a few organizations can handle. It is the world's biggest and fastest distribution of a vaccine ever. Equipment such as needles, canisters, visors, protective suits, and sanitizer need to be in place first. All of this has to be transported to the most inaccessible corners of the world. The vaccine has to be kept cold constantly. If not, it's all for nothing. And when the vaccine gets close, a population without mobile phones or internet needs to get the message. Thousands of health workers have to be trained to perform vital work. No one is safe until everyone is vaccinated, so we can't stop until that's a reality. But even though we're doing this because lives are on the line, this is real life and not a game. You don't get a new life if you fall, or if you drown trying to save lives. We have no lives to lose, but we're willing to risk a lot to vaccinate the whole world. As long as the virus exists, the whole world is in danger.
So much for that. And again, I mean, I just love the way it was come where we need the light here, you and I. But I was just, I was very excited just to see the way it's been put together and stuff. And of course, that's work that you did in terms of Gamers Without Borders. Tell us maybe a little bit more about that specifically. You know, it's a beautiful piece of work. I mean, well done.
Thank you very much. That was an initiative that was done, started in Saudi, but as a global initiative with partners we had UNICEF, Direct Relief, Gavi the Vaccine Alliance, King Salman Humanitarian Aid Center, ITU, among others. And it was an initiative through gaming on how do we do good and how do we raise money during a vaccine when everyone is at home for COVID relief, for vaccine distribution, but also how do we keep young people at home and safe during the COVID years, and also have them be rewarded by playing games and winning something and feeling like they're doing something good. So it was a great initiative. Over 400,000 people participated year one, 600,000 people year two, over 5 billion impressions online, and it was a great initiative worldwide. And thank you to all the gamers out there for being a part of it.
And I think also, you know, it was fun, it was joyous. Did it engage you if you were looking at this with fresh eyes? Anybody, where's my base? They're still there. We needed to wake them up just a little bit there. Come, let's join our other colleagues, because this one is, you know, it's a great start for it here. So, Your Royal Highness, we're delighted that you're here. Absolutely thrilled. Let's get our other panel members in, because they're going to add great value to this. Brian Diang'a joins us, professional esports gamer from Kenya. Brian, so please do join us, do come in. Great to have you on the panel. Thank you so much. From McMaster University in Canada, we have the Director of Games and Emotional Mental Health, Dr. Isabela Granic. And also, we're absolutely thrilled and delighted to have Dimah Al-Sheikh. Dimah, it's wonderful to have you here. Founders of Value 20 and the founders of Qayyem in Saudi Arabia. So what a wonderful group we've got. You know we're going to be very excited about this. Please sit and, you know, please join us here. Perhaps, Your Royal Highness, if you just maybe continue in that theme there. This is about gaming for good. And a lot of times I think when perhaps people in my generation might look at gaming, they might go, yeah, right, yeah, gaming, what are you all going to do? So just how important is it that we view gaming, I suppose, with a wider lens and see that the value that it can bring?
Well, one of the things that I like to talk about and that I love about gaming is it really is the only medium where your first interaction with someone is through an avatar and therefore through their skill level in the game and not their history, background, religion, gender, or any of that. So you get a chance to not just stake your claim based on what you do without any prejudices, but you also get a chance in, and I laugh a little bit when I hear people talk about the Metaverse as this new thing. The Metaverse has been around since we started gaming. It's the world that gamers live in. And it gives you a chance to really create your own history, your own lore, the way you look and feel. You know, you could be a wizard or a sorcerer or a sorceress one day. You could be an ogre or an orc or something the next day. And depending on how you feel or how you go about your day, you can really create your own persona, your own history, your own lore. And I think that is something that you can't do in any other medium.
So it is exciting that, as you say, the Metaverse is there. There's just a few of us maybe knocking on the door. And you might let us in, huh? Brian, again, talk to me about where you see the benefits of gaming.
The benefits of gaming are almost everywhere. We just don't see them because not so many people take part in gaming. It's young adults, and most of the time they're doing it behind closed doors, so you don't have like the opportunity to totally understand it. But I can give you an example from myself. Like visually, gamers can notice up to 7 times more than what you can notice in terms of, what do we call it, tracking, more objects on screen. So this makes good drivers from gamers because we're able to track so much that is going on. We're able to keep up with so many things. I mean, when you're playing Call of Duty, you're dealing with your teammates, you're dealing with flashbangs, you're dealing with call-outs, you're dealing with explosions, airstrikes, you're dealing with so many things, and you have to keep track and make sure I survive this and win, because we are in there for winning. So that is just one. The other one, memory. For instance, games like Dark Souls, they require a lot of skill to overcome a boss. So you have to do it over and over and over, and the more you do it, the more you're training your brain to actually learn to deal with the AI. And in some games, the AI are made to actually adapt to you. So you can't keep doing the same move to overcome the AI, so you always have to come with something new. In that process, you're not just playing, you're actually working out your mind, and you know, that is also growth. It's beneficial, and you can apply that out here in real life when it comes to dealing with situations. You get a problem and you look for a way to treat it based on the gaming experience you have. Also, hand-eye coordination. Like, you become fast and dexterous when you do gaming. You see, when pro gamers are playing, you don't see them looking at the keyboard and looking at the screen. If I gave you a controller right now, you'd have to hold it somewhere here, and like, yeah, you know? Like, oh, that is
I'd
X.
be whizzing around.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you you're doing it wrong, and then I'll be like, yeah. So that's a bit of what you get from gaming.
Okay, I'm convinced I've been put here to become a convert to gaming because that's what it's about. So they're feeding me great information so far. Isabela, you know, you're a researcher in this, you're a research psychologist. You know, when we look at gaming, and when some people who perhaps don't know enough about it look at gaming, they probably might think that it's not a great thing. They might look at, you know, addiction issues. They might look at this as something that just absorbs and creates isolation, loneliness, all of that. How do we know good gaming, bad gaming? Is it easy to spot it out there?
Well, we know by science. And so what I've been doing for the last decade is my research is on the benefits of playing video games. And we've been able to cull through all of the research out there, and there are enormous benefits. You've just heard a whole lot of the data from one person on the cognitive benefits, and all of those spatial reasoning and hand-eye coordination skills are directly related to STEM results in testing and then outcomes and academic outcomes. So these are real-world outcomes that are related to those kinds of gaming skills. We also have found that there are social, emotional, and motivational benefits from these games from the studies we've been able to review. So just as an example, the motivational perseverance in the face of failure is something that you learn very early and you practice over and over in games, because game designers are these wizards at making sure that gamers are playing right at that level of where they just are learning a tiny bit more than their ability is at. And so they're kept in this flow state, and in that flow state, they're able to learn really quickly and stay motivated. Now, they take that perseverance and that mindset out into the real world, and we've been able to see that in how much it benefits them. Socially, just to add one little bit, right now, anywhere between 75 to 85% of games that are being played socially. So this whole idea of the gamer in the basement on, you know, eating potato chips on their own couch by themselves is a complete myth. This is not what gaming is right now. And we know that to have a lot of social benefits as well that we maybe can talk about a little later.
No, and I like that connectivity. We talked a lot about community in terms of the social space as well. Now, Dimah, your organization Values 20. This is really about addressing values in organizations, you know, whatever it is. And again, we look at, I don't know, is it a policy that is needed for gaming, and is it specific, perhaps a policy that we might need here? Saudi Arabia is a huge consumer of gaming, even as you mentioned earlier. But do you think that this region needs its own evaluation system when it comes to gaming?
Yeah, that's what we focus during our many deliberation and working groups within the Values 20 that is still continuing in Indonesia as an engagement group, civil society engagement group within the body of G20. It came to our attention that a values-based policy making in general in multiple dimensions is more effective and has greater deep impact in addressing the sub-issue of the matter rather than the superficial consequence of a specific direction. In that regard, we realize a local pressing issue regarding Saudi being the biggest consumers in game, that we do lack the realistic yet flexible rating system for games that is more reliant or more comprehensive with our value system. Like most of the games are westernized kind of. Most of the bad villain will be Arabic-speaking, Arabic-looking people shooting, and you're supposed to shoot them. And that kind of direction put an effort on many institutions to create the right content first, be active part of the production. But at the same time, being a civil society institution, we look at what we can do. Be realistic, any degree of control should be flexible, but what we can do. So we took as a sign of ourselves is awareness, not deprivation, meaning that it is a reality. The gaming and all its content is a reality, is a fact that we face. But what we can do as a talking point of it, as a discussion point between parents and kids within their homes and within their family. So that's what our system consists of. It's a values-based system that is more relevant to our needs as a nation.
Prince Faisal, if we look at gaming, and particularly in the sports area, the esports area, I mean, this is somewhere where, you know, I think it's probably growing. It's a huge business. It's going to employ a lot of people, and probably, you know, it's going to build a lot of careers around the world, and it's going to probably build a lot of careers here too. Talk to me a little bit about that, because that's, I mean, where your heart is at the minute too.
And just to be clear about the difference, you know, gaming is the greater gaming, esports is the professional aspect of it, where people are getting a salary to go out and play a game professionally, like our professional here, Brian. And one of the things that I tell people consistently that kind of is starting to change people's minds here is people have a very limited view of what you can do within gaming. They think you're either playing or you're coding, or there's very limited aspects to it. But in reality, when you look at the gaming industry as a whole and esports, which is, you know, a specific focus in it, anything that you have a passion for, there is a career path within gaming. Do you like to game? Do you like to draw? Are you a graphic artist? Are you a voice actor? Are you a writer, a production assistant, whatever you enjoy doing, there is a career path within gaming. So you don't have to limit yourself to one passion or the other. You can follow both passions within this as an industry and as a career, as an earner, not just as something just to do. And one of the things I also wanted to talk about is when we talk about the way, the problem solving, and, you know, as you were saying, the way people think about things, one of the things that I found amazing is, and I'm no specialist on this, so I'll be very high level so I don't embarrass myself here, but there's, when creating a medicine or a vaccine, from the way I understand it is what you first have to solve for is a protein. If you can solve that protein, then the next step is creating the medicine or vaccine. There was a medicine, or people were working on solving this protein for HIV/AIDS for 20+ years. And some people much smarter than I did created a game out of the protein on a website called fold.it. And within 3 weeks, that protein was solved by gamers.
Wow.
And that was the basis for creating the medicine for what is now the medicine for HIV/AIDS. So it's really that critical thinking. It's taking those few points of that, you know, different points of view, crowdsourcing that, and using gamers and using those abilities and what we've learned through all of these games and doing something bigger with it while still having fun doing it and enjoying it.
And I mean, I'm hearing more of its applications, you know, in education, in industry. So, you know, we'll talk more, maybe Isabela, we can talk about what it is doing in industry. You know, but Brian, apart from gaming and enjoying it and, you know, becoming a professional at this, you were telling me that gaming actually saved your life. That's a pretty big claim. So I'm sure our audience would like to hear about that.
Yes, indeed, gaming saved my life, because I just give you a brief history, short, make it short. So, I was a kid who used to get raised by movies, and getting raised by movies, I grew up in the era of Stallion and Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I loved shooting movies a lot. And one day as a kid, I remember my uncle comes back with the Nintendo, and it had a gun. I could shoot a duck on the screen, so it went from just watching the movies, and now I was like, wow, I can actually control something on the TV. Yay, this is the life I wanted. So that's how I got into gaming. I didn't know at that point that, you know, this is going to drive my life into the direction now that I'm in. So later life was a bit hard, and I had to grow up very fast. I had to grow up very early. I faced a lot of backlash from society because of my gaming. My mom never understood why I was gaming, so half the time always had problems with her. At school, the same. Teachers didn't understand why our life was the way it was, and they beat me up so much. So my peace, I found it in gaming. So most of the time, if I was not at school, I was playing video games. Back then, I didn't even intend to be a professional. I just wanted to escape from reality, and gaming was the one place I had enough control, just around, right about enough control. So I played video games, and since my mom never supported me, I think by the age of, 10 or 9, I was already working, because, you know, I needed to supply, like, get money for my gaming. I needed to work to go and pay at the gaming cafe to play. So I used to work on, what I used to do was fetch for people water, like use a 20-liter jerry can, carry it, Then at some point I realized carrying one is a problem because I had to walk with it like this, and I was small. So I ended up started carrying two, so like this. And that's why my shoulders and my physique actually look like this. So I had to grow up early. So these challenges, and I was like, I always play video games, and before I face a boss, I have to actually level up to be able to beat the boss. And I told myself I'm facing so much challenges because I grew up in Kibera. Kibera is like the biggest slum in Africa right now. So for somebody like me to even get to somewhere like this is just, it's not even in the dream category, it's, you know. So I did this and I did for the longest time, and I wasn't doing it to get anywhere with it. Actually, I was doing it from the heart. I loved video games. This was the only place I found peace. And I was not doing it in an addictive way. I knew my responsibilities. I knew I had to work to get my money to supplement for it. I started going to tournaments. Still, my mom doesn't understand. And one day she sees me on the newspaper, and she's like, that's you? Like,
That's
yeah.
my boy.
Yeah, that's you? Because of video games? I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh, go play video games, you know? And I ended up...
I love it. So you're back in the family, you're a superhero now, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a superhero, and I use my gaming. Even though it doesn't pay, like in Africa, gaming is painful, it's hard. Access to this equipment is almost close to impossible. So I had to struggle with my passion, you know? And then I ended up modeling myself. I told myself, look at me, like, I look nothing like a gamer, you know? Yes, I look nothing like a gamer. So I ended up modeling myself with the intention of be like a gaming character. So how does this apply? You're different characters in different video games. In Call of Duty, you're a soldier. In Grand Theft Auto, you're who you are. You're in Dark Souls, you're that knight. So I figured, like, if I face those challenges the same way like I do in video games, if I do that in real life, let me see how it goes. So I ended up being a photographer, doing design, doing fitness instruction. I've done almost everything. And even being a teacher, I was an art teacher. So I got this from gaming. I was like, if I get any challenge, the best thing I can do is do it over and over and over until I become good at it. And it gave me the wings I needed to actually change my life and other people's lives. So at the end of the day, I ended up starting to actually even mentor young kids. So I go around slums a lot. I live in a slum myself. So my idea is to use gaming to educate the young ones and make sure they stay away from crime. Because my time, crime was almost the only other option. I mean, growing up, I think I'm left with like 2 friends who survived from, you know, who didn't go into crime. These are the only, we're only 2 or 3 of us. So that's why I come and say, gaming actually saved my life. It just didn't, it actually saved me. And I'm sitting on this stage because of gaming. And this...
And it's, yeah. I mean, it's so lovely to hear that story, how it turned around. And again, I think all of those lessons which you talk about in terms of how you learned through gaming to get you where you needed to go. Dr. Isabela, I could see you so excited here listening to what he's talking. Just give me a comment on that and we can talk about some other things.
Sure, yeah, and this isn't what I expected to talk about. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. It's, you know, it's a story that's exceptional because of where you've come from. On the other hand, it's not exceptional in that many, many young people feel the same kind of feelings of autonomy and competence and mastery, and the kinds of empowerment that they get from gaming is a very common thing that you hear from young people that wouldn't otherwise. But the thing that really it reminded me of, and again, I wasn't going to mention this because it's a bit of a funky topic, is this idea of reality privilege. We've been talking for almost 2 days today and yesterday around this feeling that, oh, addiction to our phones is such a terrible thing, and you know, we scroll too much and we're in this fairyland of fantasy when we look on our phones. That's really speaking from a place of real privilege to some degree, because there are a lot of people that are living in a constant fear, in poverty, in contexts that are so deprived that the idea of being able to get onto your phone and be in a different reality that makes you feel good, that makes you feel empowered and playful and engaged, is a darn good thing. And the idea that we want to only focus on those folks who have basically the privilege to be able to put away our phones. I'm wondering if we can also open up the conversation to those other sorts of populations and contests, especially because, as was mentioned early on in the first day, there are 2 billion more people that are going to come online in the next 5 to 10 years. And we're designing ecosystems, online ecosystems for this next 2 billion. And I would imagine that those designs and the function of those digital spaces could be really inspiring if we continue to think about these spaces as places for potential to train, as well as to just be joyful and socialize in ways that otherwise you might not have the opportunity.
No, and I think that potential for development, particularly, in a world that, needs energy, needs jobs, and then, needs good education, to bring all of that in one. The potential there is without a doubt. We'll talk more a little bit about that. Dimah, talk to me again, in your role as an independent part of civil society, really, Values 20. I mean, how do you view gaming? Does your organization take a view on it? Is it good, bad, indifferent? Where do you stand?
Okay, so when we look into this as an issue at first, we start seeing all the potential negativity or negative impact that might come out of it. But as a gamer myself, to start with, I noticed that a lot of the way I think have contributed directly or indirectly to being a strategic playing gamer in the past. So there are some mutual benefits, and the gaming platforms, as you might notice, it's becoming more of a social platform. So we dig deep into how can we hold the stick from the middle, maintaining what we value the most within this sector, at the same time preventing all the negativity that might come. And so we look into a different rating system that happens around the world. And then we notice that the basic, I would like to reference the session before this when the gentleman encouraged us to look into our law system, Sharia system, and other vice versa. There is very fundamental, simple rule that is Islamic, but at the same time it is humanistic, which is to focus on what's good to the soul, what's good to the mind, what's good to the dignity and body, what's good to your positions, and what's good to your belief system. So based on this rule, we did create this evaluation system that is evidence-based, flexible, agile, and basically all of our laws in life goes by this system. So why not applying this ancient humanistic collective wisdom on the game rating itself, and then leave it as a choice, as a point of discussion between aware parents and their kids to know what is it happening in the game. It is evidence-based. We take a snapshot of every violation or encouragement of this 5 dimension, and we just post it there as a discussion point for the parents with their kids, and then they can elaborate. So actually, we make it, by this system, we emphasize on this community sense and within the gaming industry.
Now, thank you so much. There's so much there I think that can be done. When we look at the gaming industry, it's estimated that it's worth more than $256 billion. And there's something like, I believe, more than 2.5 billion people online already. So it's here to stay. It's not going. Do you see this also as a potential industry for Saudi Arabia, for the growth here and that creativity, I think, that comes with it, gaming development? And I know there's some great work going on already.
Absolutely. I mean, we see not just esports, but game creation here being a very, very important thing. And there's a story I was actually talking about the other day. And I think being in a cultural center, this is an important story to say. And please, I don't want anyone to get me wrong. This is not a religious conversation, but I need to go through religion to get to my point. And that's in our belief system. What we believe is that Islam is the religion of Abraham. And whenever people wandered from the path, a prophet was sent to bring them back. Now that prophet, for people to believe them and understand that they were sent from the divine, came with a miracle. And each miracle was specific to a time and location. For example, Moses came with the miracle of magic. Why? Because the ancient Egyptians understood magic and understood that what he was doing was not normal. So he must be divine. Jesus came with the miracle of medicine, changing water to wine, healing the sick, walking on water. People at the time understood that this was not normal, therefore he must be divine. What was the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's miracle? Language. He was someone who could neither read nor write, yet when he recited the Quran, it was perfect prose. And that was something that the people at that time in this location understood, because we have a rich history culturally of storytelling, poetry. I mean, think of the stories you know around the world: 1001 Arabian Nights, Aladdin, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Such a rich history of stories, not religious, but storytelling and prose and poetry. So to give our young people, young men and women in Saudi and in the region, the chance to then another avenue, and really a very creative and open avenue to start telling those stories to the world. Again, this has nothing to do with religion, but it's cultural. Let's give them a chance to take this rich history of stories and really put it out there for the world to enjoy. I mean, there's games that I grew up playing. There's one called Dynasty Warriors, which is about ancient China and the unification of China. So when I went to China for the first time, I knew the generals, I knew the battles, I knew the history, and I never studied this in school. Yeah. But I studied it in gaming. My wife gets upset with me. We went to Italy, and I'm a big fan of a game called Assassin's Creed. And we passed by a building, and we said, what is this building? Yeah. I said, well, this is so-and-so's house. She goes, how do you know that? I said, well, I had to climb here to assassinate someone over there. She said, don't say that out loud. But, to that point, you can really use that medium of gaming to get a story across while people are enjoying themselves without advertising. It's just a fun way and an interesting way and a captive way to tell a history and a culture.
And indeed to learn. I mean, ultimately,
yes,
that's what it is, because there's probably lots of people that are rambling around Italy and they've no idea where they are. So it's exciting. And this actually, Brian, brings me back to you because of, the potential in terms of what you want to do to really help kids engage, and they can learn through gaming. And it's probably easier for them. And they're going to enjoy it. And you remember it. That's the lovely thing about it.
True. I believe it's going to be good for kids because, for me to speak English, like we learn English in class, me to speak English, I learned it from gaming. I think most of us do.
No way.
Yes way.
Yes way. I mean, clearly there's a way.
Yeah, like that. And, you're in class, but you don't know you're in class. You're doing something so fun, you even forget you're in class. So we know games are made mostly in English. So to tackle a problem, you must understand English. So every corner of the game, you're getting new English, so you have to have like a dictionary, like, this means that, okay, this is how you pass here. I use it also as a tool to just get close, and it's easy for me to tell kids my story and just tell them, you know what, you don't have to be gamers, by the way, but this helped me. And look at me, you have the potential, because right now, the world and technology, I think everything right now has a bit of gaming in it, has a touch of gaming in it. And the ecosystem for gaming is so big, anyone can fit in. Like right now, you are doing your job, talking to me, you're interviewing me, a gamer. That is work. Somebody who is interested in knowing more about
So you think
gaming.
this is just a game?
You're the big boss, so I have to find a way to beat you, So I feel this as a tool can be used to save so many. I mean, yes, there's nothing in this world that doesn't have a negative side. Everything does. But we focus so much on the negative, we miss on the positives. I believe out there in the world, there's so many people like me who have even better stories because of gaming. Yeah. So I believe in, as we are talking about well-being, let's start looking for those people and create spaces for them to actually come and express themselves and let you know, gaming is that, but also gaming is this.
No, it's opening my eyes already without a doubt. So that's so exciting. It's really, really, really great. Yeah. Isabela, so how do we encourage, because clearly I think the potential is there, we can see what people learn. How do you encourage companies to really come together to be building new gaming, for human well-being and for making sure that we can all share this and learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised to know that there's or maybe not surprised, that it's not just in education that games can really make a huge difference. Right now, mental health and well-being, games have just started to kind of eke their way into that area. And so it's amazing that in the last few years, finally, there's been scientific funding to be given both in terms of making video games, but it's for mental health and well-being, and also to eventually commercialize these games, because usually what we do in our ivory tower when we develop interventions of some sort for mental health or wellness ends up staying in ivory tower. And what got me really excited about video games was that we could take these evidence-based practices from science, like how to train people to be more resilient, how to use things like cognitive behavioral tests and other kinds of training tools we know work for mental health, work to prevent anxiety, work to prevent depression, and we translate these scientific techniques into game mechanics where young people can grind on these mechanics over and over and train themselves to keep themselves calm in the face of fearful stimuli, to overcome fear when they go, and to stay mindful and use relaxation techniques in increasingly really scary contexts. And then these games actually teach them and challenge them to drop those games and go out into the real world and take on challenges. And so on. So in my lab, we've designed all these games with artists and designers from the commercial world who partner with us. We take the science, we put these things together in these transdisciplinary teams. We take those artists and storytellers at the table with us, and then really importantly, we take the young people from the very beginning to talk to us about what games they love and also what we build, what's engaging and what completely sucks. And believe me, we are surprised to learn that psychologists are not great game designers without the artists and without the young people themselves.
That is so great. I mean, you're clearly having way too much fun at work, Isabela, without a doubt. This is lovely. And we're going to have to wrap this up. Dimah, just, as a closing word in terms of when we look at the gaming environment, when we look at the potentials that's there, what would you say that we need to be looking at to make sure that we're all going the right direction here?
First, to the gaming industry, production companies, listen to the crowd, listen to what matters to them, what they value. And to the gamers, play, but not let them play you. So I would encourage that not to trust the tech people to tell you that tech is safe. So I would encourage that continuously doubt and ask and dig into what matters to you and what you like to present and waste your time and wisely spend your time on.
I like that. Play and don't let them play you. So that's more strategy that's out there. Isabela, just a quick word in terms of what we need to be doing now, to make sure that people find the joy in gaming, I suppose, and that actually we do the right thing.
Oh, I think the number one thing we can do is have these kinds of meetings where the name of the game is transdisciplinary interactions, where you don't get siloed into academia, science, commercial industry, art, design, and we're all coming together, having these kind of mind-blowing conversations and crossing these disciplines all the time. And I think that's exactly where we have to go for this new generation of games.
And we're starting it here. Brian.
Yeah.
Give us more inspiration. Why not? You've been doing it since you started. Just that closing word for us.
I think personally, mine would be a request to each and any one of you here. I'm in the presence of scientists, specialists in all fields, and I would love to get your support to help me in the mentorship of kids. From where I come from communities. I don't mind if you want to take me where you are to mentor kids, I'm ready any day. But I want to spread the good gospel about gaming. I want to teach the world that gaming is a force for good. And I would love for you guys to, just support me in any way you can so that we can spread the message. My message is simple. I got into gaming to escape reality, and in the end of the day, I created this reality. So
now you've created a new reality, which is just fabulous. It's wonderful. Yeah. So it's only about escaping one reality sometimes and creating a new one. Your Royal Highness, there's so much potential clearly in this region, and in terms of what's going to be done. One final word of inspiration for our dear people here.
I'll try and be quick with this. I mean, just two quick points to make is one, there's a lot of what I heard is, or what I've been hearing a lot since we started this here is gamers need to change, and gamers need to be this, and gamers need to be that. And what I find that people are missing the point is, gamers are not what they think we are. These are gamers. This is a gamer. And the perception needs to catch up to us, not we need to change, which I think is very important for people to realize. And my second point, and I say this often, and I say this to my team every day, is let's always remember, at the end of the day, we are in gaming. So let's try to have a little bit of fun with it. So that would be my final point, is please just have a little bit of fun.
I love that, and it's probably a great word of advice for everybody, and a reminder more than anything else too, that you know, we can have a bit of fun and we can make everybody's lives better, and to make sure we have some fun with each other and spread the good word. I really want to thank you all. Thank you so much, Dimah, Dr. Isabela, Brian, and Your Royal Highness Prince Faisal. Thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you here and to get that inspiration.